Hi everybody, we hope that you are keeping very well. As many of you know, we have been doing a lot of traveling and definitely don't have the ideal recording circumstances all the time. But this afternoon I've been prompted by some of the questions that have been sent to us to record some videos, because many people who send in health questions don't realize that their questions are actually common questions that come to us. So for some of those, I'm going to rather respond on a video so that more people can access the response rather than just replying to individuals. The first question that I'd like to address today is a question about low blood sugar levels. A lot of people know that we recommend people to go onto a meal schedule where they are maintaining a minimum of 5 to 6 hours spacing between their meals. And some people feel like this is absolutely crazy and that it's not something that is practically doable for people, especially who struggle with low blood sugar levels. People who tend to have blood sugar levels that drop are very wary of going onto a schedule where they space their meals at least 5 to 6 hours apart. And today I'd like to address that because it is something that a lot of people worry about. The key factor that is often ignored by people is that our stomachs are designed in such a way to require a certain amount of time to digest every meal, and even small and relatively light meals still need to be given sufficient time to complete digestion in the stomach. The stomach does both chemical and mechanical digestion, and a lot of or one of the easy ways to think about that is to kind of compare the stomach function to that of a washing machine. Your washing machine uses both liquid and movement to get your clothes clean, and if you had to run your washing machine cycle but you interrupted it halfway every time and took the washing out before that cycle has completed, before you or adding then the next load, you would not have clean clothes coming out. In the same way, if you have a washing machine that is halfway through its cycle and you keep adding dirty clothes all the time, it won't do its job properly. We often treat the stomach in the same way. We think that we can continue adding food every couple of hours and that the stomach will continue doing its digestion properly. But when some food in the stomach is half digested and we add a batch of undigested food, it actually messes up the process both on a mechanical level as well as on a chemical level. The stomach is actually designed to digest your food in a very orderly fashion. The chemical processes happen in certain sequences. Certain things are broken down before other things, and when you kind of mix two batches together and you don't allow for one batch of food to complete its digestion before adding the next, it messes up that process. The result is that your food can actually be retained into the stomach for longer periods of time than what it should be there. And being a very warm part of the body, the stomach temperature varying between 39 and 41 degrees Celsius, especially during active digestion, this means that food that is kept in the stomach longer actually ferments really quickly. So food becomes rotten before it then moves into the intestines, and that is a disaster, to say the least. Once food has started becoming rotten, or when decay has started happening, the mixture of food that ends up in the intestines, both the small and the large intestines, does damage there. That fermented or decayed food actually releases toxins which damage the inside of the gut. This can lead to a number of other consequences, but amongst other things, you then get toxins absorbed into the bloodstream instead of those lovely fresh nutrients that you were hoping for when you put your meal together in the first place. So meal spacing has a huge impact on people's health, and one of the triggers for abnormal blood sugar levels, one of the triggers for blood sugar levels plummeting lower than what they need to go, is actually a higher level of toxicity. So when your food is only partially digested, when the digestion is interrupted by incorrect meal spacing and increased toxins are absorbed into the bloodstream, you're more likely to get unstable blood sugar levels. In many cases, people think that if they're going to space their meals further apart, their blood sugar levels are going to drop more frequently. But we find in practice that this is not actually the case. Our diabetic patients, both type 1 and type 2 diabetic patients, as well as people with other metabolic problems and people who don't actually have an official diagnosis but just tend to get really low blood sugar drops, they tend to stabilize when people actually sort out this meal schedule. So I can reassure you from my own experience, having recommended this particular meal schedule to every single one of my patients, no matter what their diagnosis is, for the past 5 years, This is a recipe for success and not something that you need to worry about. The last thing to mention about this is that if you are following a meal spacing schedule of 5 to 6 hours apart, the two key added rules to pay attention to is that your two main meals for the day need to be early in the day, and if you are going to add a third meal for the day, it needs to be away from bedtime so that your stomach can actually be empty by the time you go to sleep. And finally, if you are doing 3 meals for the day, your first meal for the day has to start early enough so that you can maintain that meal spacing. If you're going to have breakfast at 9, lunch at 3, and then a supper snack at 6, that meal gap is not big enough. Food will not digest properly, you will have fermentation or decay, and the toxicity levels or toxin absorption will continue. So to avoid all of that, the easiest plan is to either stick to 2 main meals for the day and nothing else, or 2 main meals early enough in the day with a third meal that can still be at least 5 hours away from your lunch. I think I should also end off with this bonus tip, and that is that if you are on a whole food plant-based diet, your meals digest faster than when you include animal products or dairy. So any dairy, eggs, cheese, yogurt, meat, all of those things will actually delay digestion. So if those things are part of your meals, then you should actually consider very strongly, and even more so consider, to only have 2 meals for the day. Make sure that they're early enough in the day, and if you're including animal products, your meals should be at least 6 to 7 hours apart. Sadly speaking though, a lot of animal products like cheese and certain portions of meat can actually retain your whole meal into the stomach for up to 12 hours, which means that the other good stuff that you're adding in with it, like your fruit and your vegetables, will most definitely decay before they get to that point of being absorbed from the intestines. That is one of the main reasons why we find a whole food plant-based diet to be the least toxic, the most healing, and by far the easiest to manage in a busy schedule. We hope that you have found this video useful, and if you have more questions based on the information we have shared today, please feel free to send them through to us, put them in the comment section below, or contact us directly through our website. We hope to see you again next time, and may you be blessed on your journey of recovering and renovating your health.